Breaking news, Viking Nation. 5 shocks just hit the Twin Cities, and trust me, you are not ready for what's coming. A superstar receiver admits a brutal truth about a moment that could have changed everything. A franchise legend opens his practice window after weeks in the shadows. The coaching staff reveals the exact checklist before unleashing a rookie phenomenon. Back onto the field. Front office whispers suggest a costly veteran might be gone before the next season even begins. And an injury report just dropped, a bombshell edition that could shake Thursday night's battle in Los Angeles. Each one of these revelations could redefine the future of this franchise, flip the script in the NFC North, and determine whether the Vikings rise or fall in the second half of this season. The clock is ticking. The division is watching. The Packers, the Bears, the Lions, they're all waiting for us to stumble. But Viking Nation doesn't stumble. We roar back. We fight harder. We prove doubters wrong. So if you bleed purple and gold, if you believe in the shield, if you're ready to stand with this team no matter what, smash that like, drop a comment, and hit subscribe right now, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. Let's dive into the first revelation, and I'm warning you, this one cuts deep. A star receiver stood in front of the cameras, his jaw clenched, his eyes sharp, and he said the words no one expected to hear. This wasn't about excuses. This wasn't about blaming the refs or the rookie cornerback who knocked the ball away. This was pure, raw accountability from the best wide receiver in the entire National Football League, Justin Jefferson, the man who terrorizes secondaries, the man who rewrites record books, the man who carries this offense on his back week after week, admitted that the crucial end-zone incompletion against the Philadelphia Eagles was on him, not on rookie corner Cooper DeJean. Let that sink in for a second. The defending Super Bowl champions rolled into U.S. Bank Stadium, and the Vikings had every chance to take control. Down in the red zone, Carson Wentz fired a pass toward Jefferson in the end zone. One-on-one coverage. The kind of matchup Jefferson wins 99 times out of 100. But DeJean, the rookie out of Iowa, stayed patient, timed his move perfectly, and ripped the ball out of Jefferson's hands just as the catch was forming. The crowd gasped. The stadium fell silent. The Vikings settled for a field goal instead of 7 points. And in a game that ended 28-22, that difference was everything. But here's where Jefferson showed why he's not just a superstar on the field. He's a leader in the locker room. All respect to him, Jefferson said after the game, but that's a catch any day of the week. I just gotta be more focused into pulling the ball into me and towards me, instead of just laying the ball out there and letting him knock it out of my hand. So I would say that's more on me than on him. Did you hear that? No excuses, no deflection, just pure ownership. Jefferson finished the day with 5 receptions for 79 yards, a solid outing by most standards, but for a player of his caliber, that missed touchdown stings, especially when the offense only converted 1 out of 6 red zone trips all game long. The Vikings' red zone struggles had become a pattern, a thorn in the side of an otherwise explosive attack, and Jefferson knows it. One of those red zone drives, that's me, dropping a touchdown and not really pulling the ball all the way in. He continued, and I'm always critical on myself, especially when my opportunities are very, very slim. So those are opportunities I got to make the most of them. This is the mindset of a champion. This is the mentality that separates great players from legendary ones. Jefferson could have easily pointed fingers at the play call, the protection, the officiating, but he didn't. He looked inward. He demanded more of himself, and that's exactly the fire this team needs as they head into the second half of the season. Now here's the question, was DeJean's breakup really that impressive, or did Jefferson just have a rare lapse? The film shows DeJean stayed sticky in coverage, didn't bite on Jefferson's late hands technique, and exploded through the catch point at the perfect moment. Give the rookie credit, he made a play on the biggest stage against the best receiver in the game. But Jefferson is right too. That ball should have been secured. The hands should have been stronger. The focus should have been sharper. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the next time Jefferson gets a one-on-one look in the red zone, he's snatching that ball out of the sky like his life depends on it. Because it does. The Vikings are 3-3. The division is tight. Every game matters. Every play counts. And if this team is going to make a playoff run, they need number 18 to be unstoppable, especially in the red zone. So Viking Nation, here's the real question. Do you still believe in Justin Jefferson to bounce back and dominate the rest of this season? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you believe in the Vikings more than you hate the Packers, smash that subscribe button right now. But hold on, as shocking as that admission was, the next update cuts even deeper, and it involves a player who's been missing from the battlefield for weeks. Just when you thought the injury chaos in Minnesota couldn't get any more complicated, the Tuesday injury report dropped, and it brought a massive addition that no one saw coming. Well, let's rewind for a second. The Vikings are about to face the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday Night Football, which means a short week, limited practice time, and a scramble to get key players healthy and ready to battle. And trust me, the injury situation heading into this game is intense. First, the good news, Aaron Jones, the explosive running back who's been sidelined for 4 games with a hamstring injury, has officially been designated to return from injured reserve. His 21-day practice window is now open, and the Vikings are cautiously optimistic about getting him back on the field. Jones, who signed a 2-year, $20 million extension in the offseason after a stellar debut year in Minnesota, is a game changer when healthy. In the 2 games he played this season before the injury, he racked up 46 rushing yards on 13 carries and added 3 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. His dual threat ability, both as a runner and a receiver out of the backfield, makes him one of the most dangerous weapons in Kevin O'Connell's offense. But here's the catch. Will he actually play on Thursday night? That's the million-dollar question. The Vikings are being smart about this. They know rushing him back too soon could risk a re-injury, and with 10 games left in the season, they need Jones healthy for the long haul, not just one short week game against the Chargers. So expect the team to monitor his practice reps closely and make a game-time decision. If Jones does suit up, it's a massive boost for an offense that's been struggling to find consistency in the running game without him. Now let's talk about the rest of the injury report, because it's a mixed bag of good and bad news. Carson Wentz, who's been named the starting quarterback for Thursday night, was listed as full participation after being limited on Monday with a left shoulder issue. That's a relief, because the last thing this team needs is more instability at the quarterback position. Speaking of quarterbacks, J.J. McCarthy was listed as limited in practice with an ankle injury. This is huge, because McCarthy has been working his way back from injury, and head coach Kevin O'Connell recently outlined what the rookie needs to show before he's cleared to return to game action. More on that in a minute, because that story is explosive. On the offensive line, right tackle Brian O'Neill did not participate in practice due to a knee injury. O'Neill has been dealing with an MCL sprain, and there's a real chance he could miss Thursday night's game. If that happens, the Vikings will have to shuffle their offensive line once again, which is never ideal, especially against a Chargers defense that can generate pressure. Fullback C.J. Ham and running back Xavier Scott were also listed as did not participate with hand and wrist injuries, respectively. Both players were injured during the Eagles game, and their status for Thursday is uncertain. On the defensive side, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins was limited with a hip injury, but that's not expected to be a major concern. Now let's flip over to the Chargers injury report, because they're dealing with their own mess. Multiple offensive linemen are banged up, including Joe Alt, the 5th overall pick in 2024, who's been dealing with an ankle injury. If Alt can't go, that's a significant blow to their pass protection, and it gives the Vikings pass rush a golden opportunity to feast. Defensive lineman Otito Ogbonia and running back Hassan Haskins were both listed as did not participate, and several other Chargers starters are questionable. Here's the bottom line. Both teams are limping into this Thursday night showdown, and whoever can get their key players on the field will have a massive advantage. For the Vikings, getting Aaron Jones back would be a game changer. His ability to break tackles, catch passes out of the backfield, and take pressure off the passing game is exactly what this offense needs to get back on track. But the Vikings have to be smart. They can't afford to lose Jones for another month because they rushed him back too soon. So Viking Nation, here's the question. Do you think Aaron Jones should play on Thursday night? Or should the Vikings hold him out another week to be safe? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're hyped about Jones coming back and ready to see this offense explode, smash that like button and subscribe. And listen closely, because what comes next will flip the script in ways nobody predicted. But the night isn't over, because the next headline is pure shock and it's heading straight for us. After watching Carson Wentz effectively waste a revenge game against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 7 with one poorly executed pass after another, Vikings fans are almost desperate to see Kevin O'Connell make a change at center. J.J. McCarthy has been perfect in limited game action for Minnesota? No. He looked, well, like a rookie, aside from an impressive fourth quarter campaign in the season opener. But as one of the youngest quarterbacks in the NFL, that's kind of expected, right? Drake didn't win many games last season, but now he's leading the top-ranked team in the AFC East in one of the most shocking turnarounds in recent history, thanks to his vast on-field experience. But what needs to happen for the Vikings to actually bring McCarthy back into games? Before the holiday season? Well, preparing for a Thursday night showdown against the Los Angeles Chargers. Kevin O'Connell commented exactly on that, explaining what he needs to see from the rookie backup to really get his season on track. It's some of the movements, the reactive movements within the pocket. O'Connell said, being able to use his athleticism to protect himself in the pocket, and then as he's able to work through progressions. I feel really good about the work we've done on the foundation of his fundamentals. That's been pretty evident in the work he's done and actually his commitment to doing that. It's basically, hey, maybe a guy gets hit, and I don't quite know what movement I'll have to make. That's where he still feels, and if he doesn't have the ability to do that without pain, obviously we risk setting him back, which would be very, very unfortunate, considering the time already missed. But also, giving him the best chance to step on the field and have success is ultimately what we're looking for. Having to overcome certain things has been the story of our season. If you look at JJ, whether early in the Chicago game, we didn't have a great feel for 11 on 11 in our execution. Then we did it late in the game. We had a lot of success and we won. Then, clearly, the circumstances involved in week 2 made everything less than ideal from the standpoint of preparing the game to play a football game. Now you've got the injury as part of that. No, it's not going to have to be something where he's 130%, or we're in a situation where we're waiting for that metric that, honestly, with this kind of injury, he's got to overcome some of that here in the late stages of rehab. But it's about his effectiveness and his ability to step on the field and do his job for 60 minutes without having any setbacks or making his job harder than it needs to be, considering that the Vikings are facing one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. On a short week in Week 8, it makes sense that Minnesota would choose to give Wentz a chance against the Chargers, but eventually, McCarthy will need to return and show what he's capable of. Otherwise, the spot could become contested by members of an organization that allows Sam Darnold to leave for free and continue playing well in Seattle. So here's the real question for Viking Nation. Do you trust Kevin O'Connell's timeline for J.J. McCarthy? Or do you think the coaching staff is being too cautious? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you're ready to see McCarthy back under center and leading this offense into battle, smash that subscribe button and hit the like. Because listen closely, the next revelation involves millions of dollars and a veteran who might not be wearing purple and gold much longer. And just when fans thought it couldn't get crazier, here comes the next bombshell. The Minnesota Vikings invested heavily in March when the league allowed teams to acquire players who had already played on other teams, which is better known as free agency. Several gaps in the roster were filled, and general manager Kwesi was the one who spent the most money in the NFL. Among the most important signings were interior blockers Will Fries and Ryan Kelly, and defensive lineman Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Unlike last year, the Vikings have already exceeded next year's budget. They need to save nearly $50 million in 2026. The good news is they can do this by restructuring some contracts, and from management's perspective, they have already planned for it. However, to create more room for maneuver and even have a chance to sign new reinforcements, some players will likely also be released, and it looks like one of those guys will be Javon Hargrave. The Gravidigger arrived in the Twin Cities after a year interrupted by injury, and he's not getting any younger. Hargrave will be 33 years old when the next free agency window opens. The defender has played in all 6 games and recorded 22 tackles and 2 sacks. Both quarterback takedowns occurred in the season opener. Since then, he's been held in check in that regard. Hargrave ranks second on the team in quarterback pressures, behind only sack leader Jonathan Greener, Dallas Turner, and Jonathan Allen tied with Hargrave with 14 pressures. All of this sounds good, but there's a caveat: the run defense. The veteran simply can't hold his ground against double teams. This is reflected in his terrible run defense grade from Pro Football Focus. But perhaps even more importantly, he's slowly being replaced by teammate Yalen Redmond. Think about it. In the last 2 games, Hargrave played 33 and 18 defensive snaps. Redmond logged 41 and 37. In previous weeks, they basically split the position, but the trend is clearly in favor of Redmond. What else is in favor of Redmond? Well, the former XFL star is evolving into a star. He's practically living in the backfield, on runs and passes. To make matters worse, even Levi Drake Rodriguez, a 7th-round pick in the 2024 draft, has had more playing time in each of the last 2 games than Hargrave. Maybe the Vikings saw the defense get shredded by Kenneth Gainwell in Dublin and decided to go with the youth movement. In March, Hargrave signed a 2-year contract worth $30 million. Of that salary, $17 million was fully guaranteed. The Vikings also deferred part of the salary cap impact to the future, which means they reduced the cap impact in 2025 by borrowing money from the future. In short, there will be a salary impact of approximately $10.5 million in 2026. But by releasing the former Pro Bowler after his first season with the Vikings, the club can save $11 million. At this point, Allen and Redmond are the 2 best defensive tackles in Brian Flores' unit. Allen is under contract through the 2027 season. He's about 2 years younger than Hargrave and seems to have more gas in the tank. Redmond will be an unrestricted free agent after the season, but re-signing him to a long-term contract should be a priority. Saving Hargrave's salary will help. In addition, Rodriguez and rookie Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins have shown so much talent that it makes it unjustifiable to pay $15 million a year to an aging player when he's being benched in favor of his teammates. It was a calculated gamble to sign the older defensive tackles recovering from injury. The guarantees beyond the first year are limited, and the Vikings will take advantage of that after the season. Unless Hargrave can explode in the remaining 10 games of the season, he'll be a one-and-done player in the Twin Cities. So Viking Nation, here's the gut check question. Do you think the Vikings should keep Javon Hargrave for another year? Or is it time to move on and invest in younger talent? Let me know in the comments. And if you think this front office move is the right call, hit that like button and subscribe. But trust me, the story only gets darker from here. The next twist will leave you speechless. And if this week felt like an earthquake, what's coming next could be the aftershock that topples the whole season. Let's step back for a second and take in everything we just witnessed. Justin Jefferson, the franchise cornerstone, the generational talent, the player who's supposed to be untouchable. He stood in front of the cameras and took full responsibility for a missed touchdown that could have changed the outcome of a critical divisional game. That's leadership. That's accountability. That's the kind of mentality that defines championship teams. But it also raises a haunting question. If the best receiver in the league is dropping touchdowns in the red zone, what does that say about the overall execution of this offense? The red zone struggles aren't just a Jefferson problem. They're a systemic issue. 1 for 6 against the Eagles? That's unacceptable. That's the difference between 3 and 3 and 5 and 1. That's the margin between playoff contention and playoff dominance. Kevin O'Connell and his staff need to figure this out, and they need to figure it out fast. Because the NFC North is a bloodbath. The Lions are rolling. The Packers are dangerous. The Bears are scrappy. And the Vikings? They're teetering on the edge. One hot streak away from taking control. One cold streak away from falling out of the race entirely. Then there's Aaron Jones, the veteran running back who was supposed to be the missing piece. The dual threat weapon who could take pressure off the passing game and open up play-action opportunities. He's been out for a month. The offense has sputtered without him. And now, finally, his practice window is open. But should he play on Thursday night? The smart move is to wait. Let him heal completely. Don't risk a setback that could cost the Vikings their best running back for the rest of the season. But the desperate move? Throw him out there and hope his explosiveness can spark a win in a must-win game against the Chargers. It's a gamble either way, and the coaching staff has to make the call. And speaking of gambles, let's talk about J.J. McCarthy, the rookie quarterback who was supposed to be the future of this franchise, the kid who flashed brilliance in the season opener before getting hurt, the player that fans are begging to see back on the field. Kevin O'Connell laid out the exact checklist: reactive movements in the pocket, ability to protect himself, effectiveness without pain. It's a reasonable standard. But here's the harsh truth. Every week that Carson Wentz struggles under center, the pressure mounts on O'Connell to make a change. And if McCarthy isn't ready, if he can't meet those benchmarks, And the Vikings are stuck in quarterback purgatory. A veteran who's past his prime, a rookie who's not quite ready, and a playoff window that's closing fast. Then there's the Javon Hargrave situation, a $30 million investment that's already looking like a mistake. The run defense has been atrocious. Hargrave is getting benched in favor of younger, hungrier players, and the front office is staring at a $50 million cap crunch next offseason. Cutting Hargrave saves $11 million. It's a no-brainer from a financial perspective, but it's also an admission of failure, an acknowledgement that the big free agency splash didn't work out, and that stings, because when you're a team trying to compete for a championship, you can't afford to whiff on big money signings. You can't afford to waste resources on players who don't produce, and you definitely can't afford to let younger, cheaper talent walk out the door because you're too committed to an aging veteran who's lost a step. So where does all of this leave the Vikings? They're 3-3. They're banged up. They're facing one of the toughest defenses in the league on a short week, and they're staring down the barrel of a season that could go either way. But here's the thing about Viking Nation: we don't quit, we don't fold, we don't back down. This team has faced adversity before, and they've fought through it. They've overcome injuries, they've silenced doubters, and they've proven that when the chips are down, they can rise to the occasion. Justin Jefferson will bounce back, Aaron Jones will return, J.J. McCarthy will get his shot, and the front office will make the tough decisions that need to be made to keep this team competitive for years to come. So Viking Nation, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, smash that like button if you're still all in on this team, no matter what. Second, drop a comment and tell me which of these 5 stories shocked you the most. And third, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the next 72 hours are going to be absolutely wild, and you don't want to miss a single update. Think this was wild? Just wait until the rivals make their counter move, because that war is only beginning. And listen closely. The next 72 hours might be the most decisive in this franchise's history. Stay tuned, stay loyal, and stay ready, because Viking Nation, this is just the beginning. Skol Vikings!